December 2007, I had married what I had considered then as my best friend. Shortly after the wedding, we went through a miscarriage. 2 months later, we went through our second miscarriage. 2 months after that, my wife had went and filed for a divorce. I was working as a police officer at the time. I'd worked a lot of cases where people were depressed and suicides and I'd always wondered how people got to that point, and never really thought that I would be one of those people, but I found myself in the still of the night, and your thoughts just start running wild. How do I deal with this? How do I make this go away? Or how do I make this better? Is when you start having the uncontrollable thoughts of just what's the easy way out. I had to take a leave of absence from the police department. I just didn't feel safe anymore with myself, I guess, and ended up, I lost that job. The marriage had failed, my job had failed, and it was like a snowball effect from there. I started working, I had met a coworker and started working with her, and I told her some of the issues that was going on in my past and things that I was going through. And she had told me that her and her family had been attending New Point, and she had invited me several times and said this is where her family goes, and thought that it'd be a fit for me and maybe it was something I should try out. And she asked me for several weeks, and again, I kept playing it off. I had issues with what had happened and blame issues, and finally one Sunday I said, well, I'll give this a shot. I give everything else a chance. I had to give a church a chance then. I showed up and it was nothing like I expected. I just felt like the message was right to me. And for about the next 4 or 6 weeks, it was like that every Sunday. I had a question. I felt like when I came into church on Sunday, I had questions that needed answered, and they were always answered in the service. I just felt like it was just whoever was on the stage and me, and that was all that was in the room, because it was like we were having a one-on-one conversation, and it was my questions being answered every time. I was driving down the road one day, I don't know, time-wise, but I know exactly where I was, and I know exactly what happened. I started crying, and it was all gone. Everything was gone, the anger was gone, everything was gone. It was just like it was lifted from me. At that moment I decided, it wasn't worth it anymore. I should just turn it all over to God. He had a better or a bigger plan, and that it was all going to be okay. Coming to church and starting down the right road of seeking who God really was, the plan He had for my life, knowing that people were praying for me to get through it, just made all the difference in the world. I truly believe that there's hope out there, that this isn't the end, that no matter how terrible it seems, how awful it seems, there's a greater plan, and tomorrow's a brighter day. Thanks to God working through New Point, my life's been changed and I'm a different person. It's the reason that I'm here today and I'm able to call New Point my home. I'm Bill Little, and that's my story.